Hey, and welcome. It's another Tuesday night. A beautiful Tuesday night here. Mike, how many days till the first pull?
Well, we got to be just under a month, I would say.
24.
So I don't have 24. That's even better.
24. We need to have that counter up there in the screen. 24 days until.
That'd be a fun thing to add, a little flip down counter, let the fans know.
Tuesday night, Outlawed Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I see some people still logging in. Get on in here. Case Conover, he gets the early bird award here. He was jumping in here and commenting while the intro was playing there. So Case Conover watching from Lytle, Texas. Cole Lundahl watching from Wakefield, Nebraska. And from Kansas, Ben Beller checking in, saying good evening. Good evening, everyone. Special guest coming on tonight, Mike. Bruce Hendel, Senior VP for VP Racing Fuels, the official fuels of the Outlaw. Signed on for another year with the Outlaws. The Outlaws burn a lot of VP. DX diesel, burn a lot of methanol and a lot of Q16 out there. So we appreciate a great company like VP joining forces with us, becoming a partner with the Outlaws once again in this 2026 season. Chris Pierce joining us from South Dakota, getting all the states here in the Midwest.
Good.
Robert Miner checking in from Niobrara, Nebraska. So probably going to be a long show. So Mike, let's get to it and start working on this schedule. I kind of wanted to focus here. Of course, when our guest comes on, Bruce Hendel, will focus on him and VP Racing Fuels. But I wanted to kind of break some of these classes down. I know there's a lot of questions surrounding some of the regions, how that works out, and especially the Pro Stock 4x4. We split that into two equal regions this year, which is different from what we've done in the past. So what we've done in the past is when we have too many hooks in, let's say, light limited pro, let's say super farm like we're doing this year, we've done it with the 4-1 class in the past, is we've added a handful of hooks to a regional circuit to give pullers a choice. You know, we don't want to force everyone to make 28 hooks. So we'll break, a fraction of those out, say, okay, run these 7 for a regional hook, or run the 13, 14, 15, 16 in the organic sweep, or run the whole gamut of the national series and go for all 3, if you will. So there are choices, and that's what we've done when Super Farm, Light Limited Pro, and this year Pro Stock 4x4, very popular class. We could probably hook these guys 50 times a year if they could do it. But we have 30 total hooks on the schedule. Let me see if I can share this screen here, Mike. You don't have the schedule pulled up, do you?
Got it right here, ready to go if you want it.
Pull that schedule. See if we can see it though, on the screen.
Yeah, I've got it blown up big, so hopefully we should be able to have that up here. Ron, I think this is going to be such a good move for fans and promoters. I think when you've got a very, very popular class like the Pro Stock 4-wheel drive trucks, to be able to tell a promoter yes more often and fans yes more often. Ron, I bet you were in a position several times where a promoter might say, hey, can I have the Pro Stock 4x4 guys? And you would say, oh, well, doggone it, they're down in Missouri or they're up in South Dakota. But now you kind of have an opportunity to tell promoters yes twice as often with this, and it lets the fans see this class twice as often with this kind of divisional circuit that we're going to campaign this year.
Yeah, Pro Stock 4x4. Now, we were well up over 20 last year. This year, splitting it into 2 separate regions, they have 18 hooks. If you just want to run one region, you make 18 hooks. Now, 5 of those hooks are shared. If you're looking at that Pro Stock 4x4 right there in the middle, you got the kind of the purple or pink. You got the tan color in there as well. The pink color is the Northern Division. The brown is the Southern Division. The light blues are the shared events where you'll get points for both regions. So you're going to have a lot of pullers at those events, Rock Valley and Wisner. And in the last hook of the year for the class in Spencer, Iowa. That's a Saturday night hook this year. So 18 hooks to run one division if you just want to run one. But there are 3 conflicts on the schedule. There are 3 pulls that have conflicts. So what we've done is given the pullers 3 drops, 3 mulligans for each division. So you have an opportunity where you can make every hook albeit those 3 drops, because there's 3 conflicts. Those are going to be your drops. If you're running Southern Division and you run it intently, you run all the Northerns you can, those 3 conflicts, those are going to be your drops in that division. So it is possible, very possible, for someone to win both and be the overall champion of the North and the South.
And there's one bit of verbiage I want to kind of, give you the opportunity to tell fans about and kind of look at. These are still both considered national level classes, as far as I understand it. I know sometimes with pulling, we hear words like state level, or then often a common one we hear is regional level. And we tend to think of regional as maybe, a triple A, just kind of one league on the way to a national level. But just because we have a northern quote unquote region and a southern quote unquote region, you will be the northern national champion or the southern national champion. That's correct, isn't it, Ron?
It is correct.
Okay.
Like I said, in this division, there is the potential to win both of them. If you set out to make all the hooks you possibly can, those 3 conflicts for both divisions, where there's a pull going on in the same class, the same night, there are 3 of those on the schedule. So you'll get 3 drops. You can drop those 3 zeros and be right there in the mix. Now you're going to probably see in this, which makes it interesting, some strategy. You might see some guys jumping from one division to the other. They might hear somebody say, we're not going out to that one or going up there to that pool. And somebody hears that and thinks, that might be a pool I need to go to. I might do better there, not having to pull against, some of these big names that come in and win the championships every year.
Or think about how maybe you have tracks that your truck or your driving style really prefers, and you had a thorn in your side that always kind of hurt you in the past. You might say, I was going to go to pull X on the northern circuit, but I can drop that one, or I can choose to go to the southern one without necessarily losing a whole lot that week because of how it's structured. So it's going to be fun to see the gamesmanship and, the points within the points and how drivers are going to structure their season around this. And it will be also interesting, Ron, how soon will we see, and how many trucks do you anticipate will try to win both? Will we see early on 4 or 5 trucks trying to be the first ever outlaw to grab a North and a South divisional championship in the same year? That could make for a fun story.
I think you're going to see a handful of guys. And then, like every year, guys will come out at the beginning of the year and say, we're not going to chase points. We're just going to see what happens. Yeah. 3 or 4 pulls in, they've done really well, and they're up at the top of the ladder. Then all of a sudden, they're all in and chasing points for the season. So,
right.
You know what? I'm not sure. I think we might pick up some Southern guys out of Missouri running that Southern division.
Yep.
May not go north and do the Northern pulls, but to run the whole thing, when you do the math on this, when you look at it, if you use your 3 zeros in one division, you could actually use 3 zeros in a division that you're running in. If you're in the South, you will only have to make 24 hooks, and you could potentially win the series both with 24 hooks. Now, the odds are more in your favor if you hit every hook you can and not use those 3 drops when there's no conflict. But I think we'll see a little bit of strategy here, but I think it's still kind of an Iron Man schedule if you want to run them both. Yeah. So, but I think we're going to have several guys, and I think we know some of those names.
I agree.
Pop right in your head that are going to try to win the whole enchilada.
Yeah.
So, it says 30 hooks on there, but technically there's 18 per division when it's split in half, and of course 6 of those, I think I said 5 before, are shared hooks.
I know there's been some brushback with some of the keyboard warriors and some confusion about this, but to me, the way I look at this is what a great opportunity to take a class that otherwise you could only be in one spot at a time, put them in 2 places at a time, grow the sport twice as much, say yes to the promoters twice as much, and have a chance for someone to grab 2 national points championships in the single season.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. So, Pro Stock 4x4, there's still probably going to be questions out there, I'm sure. We just kind of wanted to clear the air a little bit tonight. Of the classes we're going to go over, of the 5 classes, that's the one that has the most questions, I think, with that split division. So I think it's a pretty cool deal. I ran and gamed this so many times to see if somebody could game it somehow and find a cheat code, if you will, to figure out. And every way I've ran it, there's no way to cheat it. So, yeah, looking forward to that class this year. Very popular class in this area, of course, Mike. You know, the Pro Stock 4x4s. And those guys burn a lot of Q16 VP racing fuel, Mike.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Speaking of VP racing fuel, we've got the senior vice president, the senior VP of VP racing fuels out of San Antonio, Texas, Bruce Hendel. How's it going, Bruce? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Okay, there it is.
There he is.
Great.
How's it going, Bruce?
Okay. It's going awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We were just going through our schedule. We've got some split divisions this year, some regional divisions and things like that. And we figured we just kind of go through the schedule with our pullers and our fans tonight, so everybody understands how these split divisions work. But let's talk VP Racing Fuels, the official fuel of the Outlaw truck and tractor pullers again in 2026. Glad to be
excited about that too. Thank you.
Glad to be a partner again of such a great company. You guys are at the forefront of technology when it comes to racing fuels.
Well, we appreciate that. You know, we've been doing it for we're on our 51st year now, and last year we celebrated our 50th anniversary. So something we kind of pride ourselves in, you know, being around as long as we have and specializing in race fuel. That's where the company started out, and obviously we've expanded since then. But we have over 80 different custom performance fuels at the moment.
And, you know, talking about all those fuels, I mean, the forms of racing, could you possibly sit here and name every form of racing your VP racing fuels are used in here and remember them all?
No, I could rattle a bunch off, but I'd still miss some.
What's probably the most unique motorsports sport?
Oh, nice to say motorsports. How about most unique? Let's just start with most unique. How about drones?
Drone racing?
No. Drones.
Just
military.
Military.
Military drones.
All right. Yeah. We don't want to reveal any national secrets here or anything.
That's pretty. That would be pretty unique.
That is very unique. Very unique. So tell us the story a little bit of the history with VP. You said this is the 51st year, but how did VP get started?
So VP was started by Steve Burns back in 1975. He was a drag racer himself and did a little motocross, and he thought that there's got to be a better fuel for racing. But I think back then probably most were using like 100 low lead, avgas, 100 low lead, right? And so he started blending things in his garage and coming up with different formulas and bringing them to the races and testing them out. I mean, you remember guys like Warren Johnson and Rear Morrison and those guys in drag racing. So, we worked with a lot of those guys early on, validating some of these fuels and some of these formulas. And that first fuel that we made was called C12. It still exists today. We still make it today. It's one of our best-selling fuels, actually. And from there, we branched out into, of course, a lot of motocross two-wheel stuff. So back in the late 70s, we had Yamaha and Kawasaki started to use our product. And then it kind of just expanded from there. We worked a lot with engine builders. Those are the guys that you got to make believers of, right? So they saw the value in the fuel. They saw the difference in the performance and the kind of horsepower that they can make and get out of it compared to just using the 100 low lead. Now of course there's a lot of other choices out there other than just 100 low lead. 100 low lead is not what you want to use if you're going racing.
Right.
But we prove ourselves day in and day out on the dyno, and that's kind of like our test bed, right? The dyno and the racetrack. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we formulate, we do all the formulations in-house. We have in-house chemists. We work with some of the top racers in the world, right, to test and get feedback. I mean, we can test all day long. I mean, I ride dirt bikes, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't want to say I'll date myself if I say I'm no Jeremy McGrath, okay? But nowadays it's I'm not an Eli Tomac, I'm not a Ricky Carmichael or a James Stewart, right? So I'm not a Warren Johnson. I'm not John Force. So we work with these top guys because they're going to push the limits, they're in anything that you want to test, right? So we can test all we want in house, which we do, but you got to have those connections to test outside of that to really put the product through, some of the extreme, situations that it's in. Like even look at desert racing, right?
Yeah.
In desert racing, you've got conditions where it could be 120 degrees and you're racing for 1,000 miles and that fuel has got, it's not a 4-second drag race, right?
Yeah.
It's 1,000 miles and you're running high compression, high horsepower engines and they got to last. Mm-hmm. So, we've come up with a lot of different formulas for a lot of different applications, right? I think that's what we've done best over the years is we really tailor the fuel to a particular application, which is how you end up with as many fuels as we have, right? Because you've got high compression, low compression, turbocharged, blown engines. You've got all the different fuel rules, right, thrown in the mix. And it's not just fuel rules here; it's fuel rules worldwide. You got FIA rules and FIM rules, and those are different than the AMA rules and the NHRA rules and your guys' rules, right?
Yeah.
So when you start looking at all the different possible combinations and the fuel rules and the testing and whether you want oxygenated fuels or non-oxygenated fuels, you end up with the catalog of fuels that we have. And that's because we have, no matter what you're running and what fuel rule that you're running under, I'm sure we have something that is a great fit, not just something that's going to work. It's going to be the best fit.
Is that one reason why truck and tractor pulling is such a great application for your product? And I'm curious, of all the motorsports and endeavors that you work with, do you see such a wide array? Because you talked about, high compression, low compression, turbocharged, supercharged, oxygenated. You could go to any given pull and you're going to have a market for all of those because of the different classes and the different types of vehicles are going to kind of have a need for that. So is that just another reason that that's a great fit with our sport?
Oh yeah. It's you guys have a lot of different combinations. And of course you also even have diesel, right?
Absolutely.
We don't see that in really any other motorsport. I mean, we used to see it in sports car racing. It was in there for a little bit. When they were going on, when everybody, all the OEMs had that kind of diesel initiative, but that's kind of faded away, right?
Right.
So, on the diesel side, we formulated things specifically for high performance diesel applications as well, and you guys are a great test bed for that.
Yeah, the diesel classes the truck classes are just exploding, and of course the tractor classes. The guys are so competitive; they're always looking for that little bit of extra horsepower. The rules, turbos like our box turbo classes and things like that, they've got to search for horsepower away from the turbo because the box turbo limits what they could do with that turbocharger.
Yep.
So they're looking at heads, they're looking at fuel, they're looking at cams, they're looking at everything, to get just a little bit of horsepower here and there, 5 to 10 to 15 horsepower.
Sure.
The question I had for you is there ever a time when your chemist, you were talking about your chemist there at VP,
mm-hmm.
if they ever get to a point where they're like, you know what, there's no way we can get any more horsepower out of this particular fuel, this is it, or are they just constantly testing, trying to make it more efficient, make more power?
So, I've had them give me that answer and I don't accept it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So we're challenging them all the time, right? A lot of times they don't, they're chemists. They're not necessarily racers, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of what they're working on is input from us, from the sales guys in the field that are working with the racers and the customers. And we see sometimes it's a matter of where the industry is heading, right? So a good example of that, and I'll go back to the mid 90s, right? When you had motocross was all two-stroke, right? Everything was on two strokes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you saw the handwriting on the wall when it came down with Doug Henry winning the Supercross on the Yamaha YZ400, right? Four-stroke. So you knew four strokes were coming. So for us, we challenge when you can see that, and hey, we can see there's going to be a market shift. We don't drag our feet. Like we need to work on specific four-stroke fuel, because honestly, the fuel that was used in the two strokes is not what works best in the four strokes, right? Two strokes have a higher octane requirement. Four strokes don't. The RPMs on four strokes used to be lower, but now those things rev out to 14,000 RPM too. They're crazy. But so we're feeding our R&D department, our chemist department, kind of the specifications. Here's the fuel rule, right? Here's the type of engine, and here's what we want to see from performance, right? And that's your goal. We need 2% more power. And they may go, I don't know. You can, I'm telling you, you guys can do this. You guys can do it. I know you got tricks up your sleeve we don't know about yet. So we challenge them all the time, and they enjoy the challenge. I mean, they're not formulating pump gas, right? Which would be pretty boring because it's all the same, pretty much, right? To them, it's just as much of a challenge for them as it is for us. And when we're successful, they share in that success, when they see those improvements on the dyno.
What are some of the biggest challenges? You talk about the two-stroke to the four-stroke shift in the motocross world. What was maybe one that they gave you some pushback, or something that you guys really like to hang your hat on in your 51-year legacy, where you were able to take a challenge and you overcame it, and it's now something that you just really kind of, like to wear on your sleeve when you can?
I think, that when we go through those big transitions, you got a lot of opportunity to make some big steps, right? So, because it's kind of a new frontier, so to speak, that you're working on, like when it goes from two to four stroke. The thing is, when you come up with a really good four-stroke fuel or two-stroke fuel or diesel fuel, whatever it might be, and then you've had that out there and you try to tweak it and improve it, and then a lot of times, like in the case of most professional racing, you're dealing with fuel rules, okay? And the rules kind of keep you in a bit of a box, right? You don't just have carte blanche and you can just do whatever you want to do, because if you did, you could make some killer stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
If price was no object and rules were no object, you could just go
and do you have those sitting in the back room just in case for the day when the rule book goes out the door? Do you have all that hot stuff ready to go, or is that
well, yeah. I mean, we have ideas we've never used, only because it's from a price standpoint, nobody be able to afford it, Yeah. So, but we try to take some of those things. You can take little bits and pieces of that,
sure,
and incorporate it into something that is more affordable, right? But when you talk about the rules and you've had a fuel out for a while and then you want to improve, the hardest thing is when you challenge yourself. And we have a couple projects like that. Like we don't have, the competition isn't beating us, but we've had a fuel for a while and we're like, we got to be able to make something better by now. And it's been X amount of years, right? We've got to learn things and, what can we do to improve on it? So we are constantly challenging ourselves. The thing is that the improvements that you make when you are kind of baby steps, right? Those big chunks of improvement are probably not there anymore, unless we're talking about a new rule, right? What's the new rule that we got to meet, or what's the new engine application that we got to make something for? And then you're starting with a clean slate, right? And then you have some new opportunities. But you look at like the FIM is very strict, and that's what's really frustrating is we try to find ways to improve the FIM fuel or the FIA fuel, and their rules are so strict. I mean, they even have octane limits written in the rule.
Wow.
So literally, you have to test octane. If somebody protests somebody, you got to send fuel off and have the octane tested.
Wow.
Go on record to say it's a silly rule.
Yeah, we don't want to get that.
Whoever
finicky.
wrote the rule probably owned the lab, so they get a
There
lot
you
of
go.
money
Yeah.
testing fuels. But you have a lot of these these restrictions, and that's what gets frustrating for our guys. We said you got to have something. Well, you can only use 2% of this, which can't be more than 5% of this component, which can't be more than 10% of that, and it's such a tight box that you put into. It's really, really hard to make big improvements. Those are the most frustrating things, because I still want to see big improvements. Now, the cool thing is, even if we make a small improvement, the person that's using it thinks it's awesome.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah,
Because if you're talking about a factory team, okay, that I don't know what kind of budget they have, but let's say whatever, if I build something that's $100 a gallon, there's a lot of teams that probably wouldn't even blink at it, because the power I can make at $100 a gallon is cheaper than anything they can do from the engineering side.
A lot like what Ron's talking about, when the rules, especially in some of our classes where they're limited in other areas, running a universal turbocharger. So if you can find them some more power outside of the mechanical applications, suddenly what's a small increase from your product might yield a huge increase on the track.
Yep.
Yeah,
we deal with a lot of times when you deal with some of the bigger factory teams, and they say, "Hey, what can you do better?" And I said, "Well, what's the limit? That's really where. At what point do you say no? That's too much money to spend?" And that's kind of where we draw the line.
You were talking about small gains and big gains, and I could remember making the switch, and I competed with a pulling truck myself, early 2000s up through 2014, 15. And a friend of mine that had a big block Ford 2-wheel drive, it was a DOT tired single carb cast iron head class. We ran it on VP racing fuel. I can't remember what the formula was. And Q16 hadn't been out that long. And the engine builder says, let's jet it up and put some Q16 in there. I think he made like 800 horse. And boom, 20 horsepower, just like that. Yeah. Now that's a pretty big gain just by changing your fuel right there.
That's significant. Yeah. Yep.
So wasn't there an oxygenated racing fuel mixture before the Q16? Seemed like there was something before.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think back. We've had so many different types of fuels that did have oxygen in it. Q16 was one of the higher octane oxygenated fuels. One of the first high octane oxygenated fuels, I think.
Yeah.
It seemed back to the mid 90s again. If you go back to one of the rules that the AMA, American Motorcycle Association, one of the changes that they made in the mid 90s, and it's the wrong reason to make the change. And I even had conversations with them and told them not to do it. If they did it, it was just going to help us. But I didn't think it was going to be good for the industry, at least for the reason that they were asking me the questions about. So the question was, hey, we want to go to an oxygenated fuel, because I said, well, why? Well, we don't want the racers to fail from running pump gas. I said, well, first of all, go up and down the start gate of an AMA National and see if anybody's running pump gas. The answer was no.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're making a rule that doesn't matter, right? You're trying to make a rule that doesn't matter. But here's the problem. Back in pump gas back then, I don't know, let's say it was $1.50 a gallon. Okay.
Those were the days, huh?
Yeah. But you could buy a good non-oxygenated race fuel back then. Let's call it $4 a gallon or $5 a gallon even. Okay. Yeah. I said, what's going to happen is, if you allow oxygen, and now you're saying, okay, we want to save the racers money because they can go buy pump gas. Our job is to make the best fuel we can under the rules. Mm-hmm. If you're going to give us the opportunity to put oxygen in the fuel, we are going to be able to make more power. I'm telling you right now, we will make more power. And that fuel is going to be more expensive. Okay? So if you're trying to save the racer money, you're better off staying where you're at and just say, look, guys, go and spend $5 a gallon and stop complaining. Mm-hmm. Okay? Not that anybody was, because I don't think they were, but I was saying, just
Right.
go tell them, spend $5 a gallon, don't run pump gas.
Right.
Because if you make the change, it's probably going to be $10 a gallon.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it's going to make more power. It's going to cost more money to make. It's going to be a much better fuel. It's going to sell for more money. And so now the guy, instead of going from $1.50 to $5, he's going to have to go from $1.50 to $10 to compete.
Yeah.
They made the rule change and allowed oxygen. And we came out in the mid-90s with it was called MR2, which is motorcycle racing 2 for 2-stroke. So it was MR2 was the first oxygenated, it was basically our oxygenated version of C12 for motorcycle racing. And it sold for 10 or 12 bucks a gallon.
Wow.
And that rule has been in place ever since, and the fuel's been oxygenated ever since. And now we're oxygenated unleaded fuels, and now our AMA fuel is about $50 a gallon.
So now I noticed
like 8 to 10% more power than pump gas. So there's no way you would ever run pump gas.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if you're a privateer, your tank's only 2 gallons. What are you're going to use 3 or 4 gallons in a night of racing? You can't. It's like you can't afford to give up that power. It's cheap horsepower at 50
Got to
bucks
have
a
it
gallon.
now. Got to have it. You reference AMA and motocross a lot. You said aging yourself with Jeremy McGrath. You remember a guy named Jeff Emig?
Of course I do. Yes, I know Jeff Emig very well.
Actually went to high school with him. He was.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You didn't go out to Havasu with him, did you?
What's that? No. No, but that was crazy. Went to high school with him, and like a few years later, I'm watching TV, and they're like Jeff Emig, and I was like, wait a minute, I knew that guy.
That's great.
That was pretty cool. So, what's anything new on the horizon that you're working on right now? What's the big news?
I mean, we've, a little bit more. I guess a little bit more about the company since we talked a lot about the racing side of it, but we've expanded quite a bit, like in the last 15 years, right? So we've been very, very fortunate to be successful on the racing side, but if you're going to grow, you have to find ways to diversify, right? And naturally, we wanted to go into additives, right? We talk about fuel additives. So we've got diesel additives, we got gasoline additives. We expanded into that. One of the things that we also did, which is an extension of, it's another performance fuel for us, and that's fuel for outdoor power equipment.
Yep.
And we realized that there was an issue with that, especially when it really started out with fire and rescue, emergency response people, because those generators and that equipment would sit and maybe not get used all that often. But when it was time that they needed it to work, it couldn't sputter, right?
Yeah.
Old varnish
And it was a
fuels.
big problem. A lot of that equipment was not running when they needed it to run. So what we found out is a lot of them were using our race fuel in the emergency equipment. So we went and said, hey, I think there's a market for this. And so we formulated our small engine fuel for outdoor power equipment. And it's a much bigger problem than a lot of people think, right? Like you and I, we all live pretty much in areas where you're using your equipment seasonally, right? I mean, I have a leaf blower, and I use it 1 month out of the year. And it sits for 11 months.
Right.
And I leave our fuel in it for 11 months, and I come back out, and it, boom, starts right up. Every year. I don't have to drain it. I don't have to rebuild the carb. I'm not spending $125 to bring it to a shop to fix it. It's awesome, and that product is, and I'll boast a little bit if you give me a second. So when you think about that new market that we kind of identified, we're now into, with that particular product, we're into Lowe's, Home Depot, Tractor Supply, Walmart. On the fuel additives, diesel additive front, we're in AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advanced Auto. So we're in the farm and ranch channel. So you got like Rural Kings and Atwoods and McCoy's and things like that, all the small kind of little farm and ranch stores. And then we've also expanded into lubricants. So we do high performance and racing lubricants, but now we also do commercial industrial lubricants. So hydraulic oils and things like that. We've got the whole gamut of everything, and it's really helped for us as a business. It's not like we've lost focus. on racing. That's still our backbone. That's still our bread and butter. That's still our focus. We work on that every day. These are other things that complement what we already do.
Yeah.
We've got a sales team hired just to do that work. So it's not like we're taking our race team and they're now selling small engine fuel. We have a race team and they focus on racing, right?
Okay. Are you selling are you marketing an energy drink yet? Seems like everybody has an energy drink, so just curious.
We are not, but
I will say it does make a huge.
Years and years ago, we looked into that. Believe it or not, we thought about it. We thought about it because it would be again complimenting. But here's the problem with that we found out, and we didn't do it, and we saw it being a problem with some other companies that did. So you've got guys that's their business, whether it's Monster Energy or Rockstar or whatever. And they are major sponsors of a lot of motorsports and teams and whatever. If we did get into that business, we'd still just be kind of dabbling in it, probably be successful, but it'd be on a much smaller level. But we would end up probably running into problems if we were to sponsor a team that's sponsored by Monster Energy, and that team, Monster Energy is going to go, you know what, you can't run VP's logos, even if you're running their race fuel. And Monster's writing a bigger check than we're writing, so what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to run our logos.
Right. Yep. I get it.
So yeah, you got to think we did think about it, and it was an idea that we had probably 20 some odd years ago. It probably would have been cool. We didn't do it. I'm not looking back on that decision.
Yeah.
However, there could be some breaking news on some liquids. Has nothing to do with energy drinks.
Okay.
We'll have to catch up on that another time.
All right. Top secret. Okay. All right.
That's the best way to get him to follow up. You tease it on the Outlaw podcast. Now everybody's going to be asking about it.
Might be following up on that another 20 or 30 days.
Yeah, you'll have to send me an email or send me a text or something. Let me know so we could spread the word. Whatever you got going on.
We'll do.
Here we got some fans of the show that are big time Outlaw fans. They watch the show religiously every week. Cole Lundahl says he uses VP in his snowblower. It lets it sit all year, fires right up when he needs it.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that guy? Who's that guy commenting?
The snowblower or the? He's up in Nebraska.
From VP to Renegade, from Renegade to VP.
Oh yeah, that's he's in Texas. They run an antique.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the snowblower thing's interesting too, because like if you got a bad winter, that snowblower could sit for 2 years before you even use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for swapping back to VP. Appreciate that.
I run it in my chainsaw. I sell a lot of firewood in the winter, and I was actually going through a lot of chainsaws. I was, putting piston and cylinder damage in a lot of them. And I realized that, the quality of fuel that you run and, how hot that fuel is makes a huge difference. And I was just looking for something that was going to save my equipment. What I found instead was suddenly the machines were running a lot hotter. They were running at a higher RPM. They were much more responsive. It's the only thing that I touch in my small equipment now. And like you were saying, I get it at Ace Hardware, because you guys have expanded into these kind of citizen markets all over the place. It's really, really neat.
So one thing I'll tell you, as a public service announcement to your listeners, if everybody would use good fuel, it'd be surprised. Good fuel and good oil, at least good oil. Your outdoor power equipment would last forever. The worst thing somebody can do is go and buy that think all two-stroke oil is the same, and go buy that 99-cent or $1 little dollar bottle oil. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it's garbage. We've taken the time. The one thing that's different about us, because we come from the racing side of it, we approach everything the same way. Even when it comes to outdoor power equipment, we've done 50-hour tests on small engine equipment in a lab, not us personally. We've hired a third party. So that way the results are all documented. A 50-hour test, running different types of lubricant with pump gas, running our lubricant with pump gas, running our small engine fuel, running our competitor's product. And a 50-hour test is basically, just so you know, it's like 85% of the time it's wide open throttle and 15% of the time it's off the throttle. But it varies back and forth, but that's the average over 50 hours. And when it's done, they tear the engine down and it's given a merit score, and everything is measured, all the buildup, all the carbon buildup and the exhaust ports and the ring lands and the top of the piston, underneath the piston and the ring and the wrist pin, everything's looked at and given a score. And we've learned so much, because most, obviously, with us being racers, we know about tearing down engines, but the average person that buys a piece of outdoor power equipment never tears it down and looks at it. The thing stops running, and they just go, it's time to buy another one.
Yep.
Right? It wouldn't be time to buy another one if you just use good oil.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And there really is a difference. And I will tell you, first of all, there's called the Jazzo FD, which is a rating. You should, for anybody that's looking for a good oil, look for a Jazzo FD rating. And then you want something that's a synthetic. Okay, don't look for synthetic blends. But the Jazzo FD doesn't necessarily mean it's a great oil. It means it passed that test. That's a minimum specification that it passed. You can have an oil that's much better than what Jazzo FD is, but you at least want something that's a Jazzo FD. Most non-Jazzo FD oils void the warranties on outdoor power equipment anyway. But you wouldn't believe how we tested. I think we've done 12, 15. I think we've done 20 of these lab tests, these 50-hour tests. So it's 20 blowers running 50 hours, because we use a Husqvarna blower engine is what it is. And each one of those was set up to run whatever mixture it was. You'd be surprised how many did not finish the 50 hours and seized.
Uh-huh.
Some of them didn't even make 12 hours, 10 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So to your point, you've noticed by changing how much better that it runs. Not only will it run better, it is going to last longer.
We're already at that point. We're approaching the point where in the past, 3 to 4 seasons, we were starting to see issues, but since making the switch, it's just right where I need it every time. And it's responding, years later, the way that it did when it was new. It's a product, folks. It makes a difference.
If you have something that's not running well or not running at all, and it's a fuel related issue, try our Fix-It fuel. It will get it running. You'll save yourself $125 from the shop fixing it for you and going through the carburetor.
Awesome.
So, it's a great product.
I think I've actually used that before. On four-wheelers. I had some four-wheelers that I bought used, and the carburetor wasn't, and I didn't want to rebuild the carburetor. And I bought some of that, put in there, and it, after a tank or so of gas, it started running right. It was good stuff. So made me a believer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And over the years, we bought. Everybody's familiar with our utility jugs. Our 5-gallon, 3-gallon utility jugs. Just so everybody knows, we actually own 3 state-of-the-art blow molding machines that we have in a building in our building in Huntington, Tennessee.
Okay.
We manufacture all those in-house.
Awesome. American made. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So, the other day I was thinking, is there any particular tractor or in tractor pulling, there's a wide variety of power plants. I mean, we've got, aircraft engines and diesel engines burning alcohol with turbochargers. And we've got a tank engine that runs with us. And I was talking to Kyle, and he said, well, they don't make Jet A yet. We have a few tractors that run helicopter turbine power plants. Is VP make any kind of Jet A or anything like that?
No, we don't make Jet A. It's kind of a commodity type product, so we don't make Jet A. We are, in fact, I can tell you about this. We are working on a 100 unleaded aviation fuel.
Okay.
Now, doesn't have anything to do with with what you guys would race on, but it does have a lot to do with just the aviation market in general. Has been for years has been trying to figure out how to get away or how to get out of 100 low lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've been doing some testing with the FAA and an independent program, and we've gotten further down the road with our testing than anybody else. So that could be a big thing for us when the time comes, when that ever gets across the finish line.
Well, probably the most important question I've got for you here before we're done, Bruce, and it'll have a follow-up question too, is have you ever been to an Outlaw truck and tractor pull? And if not, where can we expect to see you at an Outlaw pull?
So here's what I will tell you. This is a cool story. I don't know if it's an Outlaw tractor pull, but but because it goes back a long time. So my wife, who I'm married to, obviously, she's from Terre Haute, Indiana.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And I met her. I was out, spent a little time in Terre Haute, Indiana. I'm from the East Coast, and she's actually from Terre Haute. And the first date I took her on was the tractor pull in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Awesome. That is awesome.
It was at what the hell was that track? It was that track down there. It was so long ago. I don't remember what the series was. Right. I don't even think I was working for a VP at the time. I was probably in the early 90s. So before I was employed I've been with VP for 33 years. So it was before I was actually with VP, but the first date I took her on was a tractor pull.
That's cool. That's great.
I love it. Well, you're based in San Antonio, right?
And then the next movie I took her to was Ford Fairlane with Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, if I get through those two things and she's still good with me, I got a winner.
Oh, boy. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, just to let you know, we will be in Colbert, Oklahoma, which is almost Texas, in June. That's going to be a big one. And then Lufkin, Texas in October. That's an awesome event that benefits our veterans, combats veteran suicide. That's turning into a huge event down there in October.
Well, I'd love to get out to one of your events this year.
Yeah,
absolutely. And just let me know when you want to come and where you're going to go. We'd love to chat with you. Maybe get you on the microphone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh hell yeah, I'll jump on the mic.
Mike and I are the announcers.
We'll make it happen. That'd be great. No, I think that'd be a wonderful time and just truly great sponsorship and great partnership. And it's be great to have you at a pool.
Yeah. Awesome, guys.
Looking forward to
when's your season kick off officially? I'm sorry, I didn't see the. By the way,
24 days.
I had a hip replacement last Thursday, so I'm a little bit of. I go. Am I on tonight or is it Wednesday night? Donna reminded me it's tonight, so I got on tonight.
June 5th in Ravenna, Nebraska, and then when it starts there, then it's Katie bar the door. We have 45 events. Some of those are multi-session events. So 55 sessions total of pulling this summer.
Wow. That's
so we're going to be busy. We're going to be burning a lot of VP racing fuel, Bruce.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Bruce,
oh, hey,
thanks.
one other thing I will mention, because I got to mention all our divisions. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay. So branded retail. So we did start that about 12 years ago. So for you guys traveling across the country, you'll start seeing VP branded gas stations in different areas.
Yeah,
we have about 300,
already.
370 of them so far, and that's growing. It's growing every year. So
I've seen a couple in my travels.
So you stop in and pick up some of the. If you're looking for any diesel additive or octane improver, stop in at one of the VP gas stations.
There you go. Awesome. Bruce, thanks so much for taking the time out to hang out with us tonight. I think we've learned a little bit, Mike. We're a little bit smarter than we were before.
That was fun. That was really neat to hear about how you guys are always pushing yourselves and you can find that extra horsepower when you can't find it elsewhere. And definitely a product that makes a difference and definitely a product that is successful in motorsports.
Yep.
Appreciate
Bruce,
it, guys.
Thanks so much for coming on, buddy. Look forward to meeting you.
Thanks for having us on anytime. Look forward to seeing you guys at an event this year.
Have a great night.
All right. You too.
Bruce Hendel, Senior VP at VP Racing Fuels. VPRacingFuels.com if you want to check out those products, those additives he was talking about, and all the racing fuels offered by the official racing fuel of the Outlaws, VP Racing Fuels. So,
Ron, I'm impressed. That was you're almost right back to announcer form. You're almost ready for the season because that sounded just like one of our sponsor reads that we go through all season long. So you're already good to go. VP Racing Fuel, official fuel of the Outlaws.
That's right. That's right. Robert Miner had a question for you, Mike. Your background, wants to know where you're at there.
Macon, Missouri, 1992 or 1993 would have been, maybe 91, 92, 93. I got to go back through and look at my albums, but this was the Show Me Showdown in its earlier days.
So you're doing a little time traveling there.
Yeah. This is fun. But what's been a lot of fun, Ron, I started scanning in a lot of these pictures and then tracking down because, of course, just like, you showed me at the farm show, you've got these pictures that you grew up with. Well, I grew up looking at these pictures, and then I scanned them in and I labeled them, put them on Facebook. And then a lot of these people have since added me on Facebook. So it's really, really neat to kind of, as a kid, look at these photos and be like, oh, man, that's who I want to be when I grow up. And now I know some of these people, like that's Keith Middleton in the background, and that's, Steve and Stan Blagrave in the background. And these are people that you get to know later on just because, your dad took a photo at Macon in 1992 or something. So, yeah, kind of where it all started. But for those who didn't hear, I'm not in my pulling office tonight. I had to do some last-minute pivoting. So, the good side is I'm in a recliner, but, I doubted you guys wanted to see my downstairs rest of my house. So you get some vintage pulling photo for the background.
So you talk about the vintage bowling photos, like, of course, I've shown you some of the ones that I have from back in the 70s and 80s. And it's kind of cool whenever you post those at some point, and 7, 8, 9 years later, somebody reposts the same exact picture, in a vintage pulling site. And it's the picture I took when I was 10 years old. You know what I mean?
I've ran into that a little bit with people sharing them around and being like, wait a minute, that's Dad's photo. So, and you don't know whether to kind of bristle up and try to claim it, but then you're like, you know what, I'm just glad that it's out there, and I'm just glad people are seeing it and sharing it,
I literally just saw one not even an hour ago, I think, before the show, and it was a picture that I'd taken at
one of yours,
Ohio. And I just went on and said, hey, nice pic.
Yep. I've it happens. And then Ron, I'll tell you this, I just made my kind of jumped in with 2 feet. I've been trying to go back and recollect a lot of the puller magazines. I know that you're a pulling power fan. I'm more of a puller fan. That's what I kind of grew up with. And I've been buying them one at a time here and there on eBay. Well, a gentleman just got a hold of me and offered me a substantial portion of his entire collection. And I dove back in and so I wrote a check for it, probably a check that, I don't know. But for me, I was like, someone's got to preserve this stuff. I would rather almost write the check and then acquire these things to just ensure that they keep going. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's a lot of fun to look back at this vintage
stuff. That didn't come out
of
your pulling tractor budget, did it?
I don't know if the H needs some VP fuel. The H has not moved since the last time that we've done the show. So it starts. It needs a new battery now. I think pulling. You know what? There's a lot more to it than just going out there and hooking to a sled. This is going to be a slow process.
Yeah, sure enough. Sure enough. There you go.
Yeah, I agree, NT. He had a lot of good energy, a lot of good stuff to say. Yeah. VP just, what a great partnership, Ron, that we have with the Outlaws, and so awesome that you're able to build those relationships with our great sponsors, because that's a good one that we have with us, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I know our pullers burn through a lot of VP fuel throughout a pulling season. There was one question here I wanted to get to, Mike, and that was on Russ Dostal. Is it NA two-wheel drive or mod two-wheel drive in Norfolk? Flyer says mod two-wheel drive. Russ, I refer to the two-wheel drives as modified and super modified.
Yeah.
Modified, sometimes I'll put the NA behind it, but I'd like to get it to where everybody understands the modified is the naturally aspirated, and the super modified is the supercharged version of the two-wheel drive. So that NA doesn't do a whole lot for marketing purposes.
It really does. it doesn't really roll off the tongue, and it's big. Yeah, honestly, if we could just get that modified or pro, I've thought about pro modified, because you always have like your pro as your maybe your single charger, and then your super is kind of, you throw more at it, but then you're thinking pro mod like drag racing and that kind of. But I think modified,
the old days of 2-wheel drives when they first came out, they called them modified, and when they started putting the supercharger engines in, those were super modified.
That's pretty much that's verbatim where we're at. So
4-wheel drive pickups were the same thing. You had modified, which were naturally aspirated. Super modifieds were the extended wheelbase supercharged versions. So,
and they're still that's still how we label those classes today. Absolutely. So perfect, absolutely. Perfect. Yeah. So modified means no blowers,
no blower, no supercharging. Yep. So let's go back to that schedule, Mike.
Yeah, because a lot of we just started scratching the surface here. We talked about our pro stock 4-wheelers, but you've got a couple other classes you want to highlight tonight as well, Ron.
Yeah, we want to talk about limited pro stock, the 4-1s. Of course, they're going through that metamorphosis this year, running the box turbocharger. We're keeping tabs on those. A lot of pullers have went ahead and ordered those turbos, whether themselves or through their engine builders. So there's no fear for the promoters, no fear for the fans out there. Limited pro stocks. We're going to be back on the track this year. 18 hooks for limited pro stocks this year. Now, last year we had more hooks and we had a few regionals for them. So nice little schedule at 18, keeping it under 20. Not a whole lot of traveling as far as out of state or across the Mississippi River, anything like that. So nice little schedule there for limited pro stock.
So you'll see them in Norfolk, Ravenna, both in Nebraska, then down to Mound City, Missouri, Seward, Nebraska, Rock Valley twice. Looks like they'll be in Pawnee City, Nebraska, Britt, Iowa.
I think you jumped by Scribner there. It's had them in Scribner.
Yeah, go past Scribner. And then we've got McLouth, Mound City, Kansas. Yep. Well, that's good for the 4-1s. The 4-1s then at least aren't going to fall into the classic Mound City trap, because they're just going to both of them. Go to Mound City, both of which one? You go to both of them, 4-1s. Oh, there you go. You could do the Mound City sweep. It could be like a little deal within a deal right there. So
a lot of these run together. There's a few single, Norfolk, right off the bat, 1 hook weekend. Seward, 1 hook weekend. Pawnee City, same deal, 1 hook that particular weekend. Scribner is the 30th. Then they go to McLouth. They got a day of rest there in between. Then they go to McLouth and Mound City. Then Weeping Water, West Point. 6th and 7th of August. Then Wisner, 2 back-to-back hooks there. Then Unionville, Buckner. Of course, Unionville and Buckner, not that far. I think within a couple hours of each other, or 2.5 hours, something like that. So not a lot of events there. Probably the biggest one there is going to be between Scribner and McLouth, but they have a day in between. And once you get to McLouth, you're an hour and a half, if that, away from Mound City.
Yeah, I feel like, there's a lot of piggybacks right there. You look at Weeping Water and West Point, 2 separate places, but you can treat that as a 2-day hook. You can treat the 2 Kansas hooks as a 2-day hook, and then you can treat the 2 Missouri hooks with Unionville and Buckner as a 2-day hook, with none of those being more than a 2-hour drive between the 2 of them. Just enough time to kind of decompress and unwind from your victory or your, out of bounds run or whatever the night before, and get ready to do it again the next day. That's always kind of a slugfest too. The 4-1s get out there to Weeping Water and West Point, and then they wrap up in Missouri. And it seems like that class is really just hitting its stride about that point. So always a fun little back end of the season for them there. So another great schedule, another good lineup of classes to get things going for us.
Yeah, let's look at Super Farm now. Super Farm has a total of 28 hooks in total. Now, if you look at that schedule, in that Super Farm column, every yellow shaded block is a regional hook. So 7 regional hooks for Super Farm. So that leaves 21 national hooks. Now, sometimes I get a little bit of anxiety from promoters and pullers about those regional hooks. If the pull, it's in their area, or of course a promoter, they don't want that regional tag. I went back and did the numbers on that last year. The regional classes, the average was about one tractor more for a national hook over a regional hook. So you're not going to get shorted a bunch of tractors.
And I wouldn't
tag.
I wouldn't fret about even the moniker of what I alluded to a little bit earlier, and I can't encapsulate it correctly because I don't want it to sound wrong. But the idea that a national class is professional league and a regional level is the minor leagues or something like that. And I think too often it gets presented that way. But last year, if you look at it, like George Beyer ran regional last year, didn't run national. Now you can't tell me that George Beyer is not
right
one of the most premier drivers in the country. I mean, so it just is a choice of where pullers decide to run. So promoters never feel that, oh, I've got a regional, I'm not going to get the hot iron. Like, you're still going to get really, really good stuff out there.
Right. Absolutely. And it's about choices, giving the pullers choices too.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got pullers, they don't want to make 21 hooks, in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 7 in the regional's not enough. Well, we want to go out and hook more than 7 times, in a summer. Then you've got this, looking at Super Farm here. Then you've got the sweep, the Holganics summer sweep.
Well, I think it just protects having Holganic sweep, having regional, and having national points. It also incentivizes end of year pulling, and it incentivizes the numbers. Like, let's say I go off to a poor start on the national schedule, and I'm like, man, I'm way back. I'm 35 points out of first place. Why should I drive from Texas all the way up to Unionville, Missouri? I'm not going to go that far. Well, maybe I'm winning the region, or maybe I'm winning the Holganic sweep, and those are region points, or those are Holganic sweep too. Then I say, well, in years past where I would have stayed home because I can't win anyway, I might be in the heart of a different points race. And I think that really incentivizes those numbers and that competitions. And that's great for promoters, and that's great for fans.
Yep. You can run the regional series. You can run the Holganic sweep. You can run 7 or 16. You can run them both, or you can run the national, which run the national, you could run all 3. There are no conflicts on those regionals to national series. So you can run national, regional, and Holganics and try to win all 3 of them. So,
and we've seen pullers come close. So we've seen pullers win 2 out of 3, one way or the other. But we've been at late in the season, Ron, discussing points before where we've had a puller, especially in some of these single turbocharger classes, sitting number 1 in all 3 points. Now I don't know if we've had a triple crown just yet, but that's going to happen someday, and it's going to be something to talk about.
Something we need to look into there. You're the historian. I think you said.
I don't think we've triple crowned it, but I also, and this has been on kind of the short side of things, and it's my next big project. So I've got the national standings kind of all wrapped up and in a bow. Now I need to go back and get the regional and the Holganics and make sure that I have those categorized just as well. But I don't think we've had the triple crown just yet. But when we do, that'll be something to talk about for sure.
Let's look at the light super stock division, the Alki Supers, 20 hooks for that class.
The Bucking Broncos of the pulling world.
They don't hook until June 19th, 20th. First hook for that class.
For the light supers?
Yeah, in Mound City, Missouri. Mound City Mo.
Are they not at Ravenna?
They are not. Oh, yes, they are. I was looking at the four-wheel drive. I'm sorry.
I was wanting to make sure that I wasn't accidentally sharing an outdated schedule. So
no, I had it in my head too, Mike. I was actually starting to panic looking at the schedule, and I thought, did I miss that? And then I realized when you said that I was looking at the four-wheel drive section.
So we've got the light supers get going at Ravenna.
Ravenna, second weekend of June. So yes, sorry about that. Then they go to Mound City, Missouri. So 4 hooks in June, 4 light supers. Then it's Rock Valley, 2 hooks at Rock Valley.
So that's 3. Their first 3 pulls are all, 2-session pulls. They're going to enjoy that. That's what pullers always talk about. Each of their first 3 stops, they get to camp over at all of them.
Then July 17th and 18th, you're in Lee, Nebraska. Then on to Pawnee City, Nebraska, the next night.
Yep.
Then they'll pull in Pierce. Nebraska. The next night they'll pull in Wayne. Then the night after that, they'll travel over a couple hours away to Denison, Iowa. New pull on the schedule this year.
Mm-hmm.
Then they've got a one-hook weekend in Lamar's, Iowa on August the 1st. Mike, you'll be there in Lamar's.
Yep.
Then August 7th and 8th, West Point and Mobile. Back-to-back hooks there. Then 2 hooks in Wisner, Nebraska. Then Madison, South Dakota. They're at Prairie Village. And then on to the South Dakota State Fair on September 7th. Then Unionville and Buckner. They'll end the season in Buckner there. And we can go look at the organic schedule here for that class as well. No regional hooks in light superstock.
That's what was the total hooks? I got to go back and look at that, make sure I can see it. Total number of hooks for the light supers on
20.
the national. That is perfect. That's a perfect season. That's going to be a fun class to pay attention to this year.
You have 20 on the National Series, 15 on the Organic Sweep, which that one does begin in Ravenna and ends in Buckner as well. So a couple of choices there in that class. So light super stocks. Now we'll go to semis. I think we're about done here. We're going to do 5 classes tonight, 5 classes next Tuesday. And we should get through all the classes that last week there as we're getting ready to kick the season off in Norfolk, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So semis, the big semis. Jerseyville Truck Repair sponsored Pro Stock semi class. First hook for that class is a 2-nighter in Colbert, Oklahoma.
Yep.
They're at full pull on the turf. Then another 2-session event in Rock Valley. Wayne and Denison, those are back-to-back hooks there for the semis. Then Mercer, Missouri, and McLouth, Kansas, 2 back-to-back.
Were they a points hook at Mercer last year? I know 2 years ago, Brent and some of his buddies came over and ran kind of an exhibition at the end, and they loved it. So that's fun to see them in Mercer. Real small, tight, compact kind of arena there. And you watch a big rig heading down to the bean field at the end of that track. That makes for a unique atmosphere.
Now, then we move on to Washington, Missouri, the Town and Country Fair there in Washington for 2 nights of pulling, then on to Wisner, Nebraska for 2 nights. Then, of course, Bedford, Iowa. That's a 1-night weekend. And then the last hook of the season, 1 night there in Buckner, Missouri. 14 hooks total for the Pro Stock semi. So that's all the classes we were going to talk about tonight. We'll pick 5 more up next Tuesday night, just kind of go through those. I think we'll include Pro Stock and explain that division next week as well. A lot of Pro Stock, a lot of 5.0 pros being built out there. Talked to Ken Summers yesterday. Said they got the turbo on and had it fired up. You saw the video last week, Mike, and he said they started taking a look at things to realize the head had several cracks in it, so I had to order a new head.
Yeah.
Said the other tractor, the other Pro Stock, that's the new one coming out, they were promised a new block back in December. It was supposed to be in. Block's still not there yet. Here it is, May. So
was there something unique about that other Pro that they were going to do? Was it going to have some unique sheet metal or something? I don't remember. Or is this, am I getting my wires crossed with something else, or is this not public information yet?
I don't think it's a secret, but it will be unique because it will be in Oliver. It'll have Oliver.
That's what I had in my mind. I couldn't remember if that was what we discussed or you told me in that. I don't know if you told me that in private, Ron. I always tell people, if you want to make sure that news is known, just tell Mike a secret. So, I don't know if you told me that as a secret, but yeah, so we'll see an Oliver Pro Stock. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Ben Biller, why is the sled spot open? He's looking at the schedule. We just haven't filled that in yet. That will be the sled out of Colorado. The Lay family has the vintage green sled is what it's called.
Good sled.
It is a Bauer built sled. So, that's the sled that will be in Coffeyville. I have the contract on that. Andrew Sprock, 2-wheel drive puller. Majority of these pulls are pretty close around me, and I'm here for it. Awesome. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Robert Miner, are there any new Super Farm tractors pulling this year? Haven't heard. Well, maybe I did hear of another super farm in Nebraska. Maybe I'm trying to think. Trying to clear the fog out of my mind here. Where did I hear that? Oh, well, there is. I know a Case super farm that we will be seeing out. Probably not running points, but yeah, Todd Bowles purchased the Midnight Screamer 4-1.
Okay.
Converting it to a super farm. So
that's interesting. You said that because when you mentioned the Case, my mind went to that one, and I was like, well, that's a 4-1. So Todd's going to take that over into the super farm. I'm just excited to see Todd Bowles suiting up and driving a pulling tractor. Now, this guy talks as excited about pulling. I mean, and that's just sitting there drinking water at the end of the track. Can you imagine Todd Bowles in a winner's interview after he's just, had that guy is going to be he's going to make Jeff Hurt look quiet.
Well, he said he's not sure if he's going to be able to pull it himself much, with Holganics and now our new partner, National Tractor Pulling Association, NTPA. Yeah. He's going to be doing a lot of NTPA pulls. I talked to him the other day. I think the only time we're going to see him at an Outlaw event is going to be at the Iowa State Fair and possibly Wisner. So
no kidding. He is a hard worker, and I'm glad that he's promoting that amazing product, and I'm glad that he's continuing to build those bonds that we have with the NTPA. But that is a bit of a bummer. I mean, Todd is definitely a presence at a pulling track that is a great time, but wish him the best out there. And so there's our super farm news. So who's his hired gun? Who's going to be driving it, Ron?
I think his stepson is going to be driving it some, and I'm not sure who else he's going to put in the seat. But yeah, he is, he's going to hire that out a little bit and let some other people run the tractor this summer. But cool to see a Case tractor there in the super farm.
I agree. That class already. So the super farms has an Alice, it has a Ford, of course it has red ones, it has green ones. That class already has a nice color variety. It's got a white in it. Yep. So now we're going to throw a Case in there too. That's really cool.
Yeah, Pool Party HQ checking in. Says come see me at the Busch Light Nationals. We'll be there.
Ron's going to. Ron will be there.
And William Lumberg drinking the claw and watching Outlaw. Very cool. I want to put up some of I know we're running long here, but we'll go ahead and put up some of the flyers that we have here, Mike. Just June in particular. We'll focus on June here. Let's see. Make sure I get the right one here. Of course, there we go.
Yeah.
Rumble at the Ranch. That's the first pull of the season. 24 days from right now. At this time in 24 days. 3 weeks and 3 days, Mike.
Yep.
We'll be pulling. We'll be blowing smoke and ripping up the track there in Norfolk, Nebraska on June 5th, 7 p.m. there at the Off-Road Speedway in Norfolk, Nebraska.
Super unique venue. Always like going there. Got a big campground, got a little county bar there. They got the circle track, got the pulling track. Neat place. Should be a good time.
And we'll go from there to Ravenna, Nebraska.
Another great venue.
Part of the Anavar Festival there. Friday and Saturday night, June 12th and 13th, 7 p.m., 2 tracks, 2 nights. There at the Anavar Festival in Ravenna. So we'll get that out of the way there. Then from there, we go to Rumble by the Refuge, Mound City, Missouri, June 19th and 20th, 6 p.m. both nights. Gates open at 5 p.m. They got a band playing on Friday night, Mike. This is all to benefit the fire department and some local scholarship funds and things that the fire department helps out with there locally in Mound City. A lot of history here. Track has a reputation of its own, being a very sticky, very bitey track. Should be a great addition to the Outlaw schedule this summer.
This one's going to be so much fun, Ron. This right in the heart. I mean, like you said it on the last show, if you drew a circle and had to find the geographic center of Outlaw Nation, it's almost Mound City, Missouri. So this is going to be a good one. This is a pull that's always been good. All three of these pulls are great shows, Ron. I mean, we are coming out the gate swinging this year. And then we're kind of hitting things off with a Grand Slam for June, because I know what you got lined up after that.
Yeah, well, same weekend here.
We've got all of our Illinois pulls too. Let's not
on the
forget.
prairie. Mike, you're staying kind of close to home there in Mound City. You're headed a little bit west. I'm headed.
So I was thinking about this. Are we gonna like high five going down the road? Are we gonna, because you're going east, I'm going west, and we're gonna kind of meet each other? We time it up just right, and see each other coming and going.
Yep, that is possible. That is possible. Cambridge, Illinois, smoking on the prairie truck and tractor pull. 5 classes there: modified tractors, super modified 2-wheel drives, 2.6 Pro Street diesel pickups. They're Pro stock tractors, and then the super stock diesel 4-wheel drive pickups. All classes at this event in Cambridge, as well as the next night in Rushville, Illinois. Added money. I find the right flyer here. There we go. Added money in all classes. Added money in all classes here. They've turned the spigot on there and trying to put some money back in the pullers' pockets and entice some pullers to come. Those 2 pulls are about 2 hours from each other, Friday and Saturday night, from Cambridge to Rushville. So going to be a couple of great shows there, Mike.
Yeah.
Identical classes both nights. So
in a state that just bleeds pulling, and in a state that is really, really becoming warm and receptive to outlaw pulling. And then we go back to a state that's always loved outlaw pulling, and something that this is going to be something that I think 10 years from now, we're going to say, do you remember when it all started? Were you at the first one? This is going to turn into a legacy pull.
Yeah, this is going to be the pull in Oklahoma. This is going to be the biggest pull anywhere in the state of Oklahoma this summer. Full pull on the turf. The Wager family has taken the ball and ran with it with this thing. June 26th and 27th. Going to be 9 classes each night at this pull there in Colbert, Oklahoma. Going to have a live band for 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Going to have some unique gifts to give away, or prizes to give away to the winners of each night. Golden Boy rifles, got some silver editions, some different calibers. He said if you win the same class both nights, you'll get two guns, but they won't be the same. So pretty unique prizes to be given away. And of course, Lacey and his wife just really hitting this one out of the park. This is going to be a huge event, Mike. They just keep adding things to it.
Yeah.
If you look closely on there, they've got, I think, some garden tractor pulls on Saturday there as well. Fireworks. I forget how much they've spent in fireworks. They've already ordered them. They've already been delivered. They have a huge fireworks show on the 4th of July. They decided to move that up and do it after the pull each night. Yeah. So you want to see a great pull. You want to hear a great band. And I kind of say that knowing that I'm the lead singer and guitar player of the band.
I haven't heard the band. I'll speak on behalf of you. I haven't heard the band, but I've heard you sing. I have no doubt about it. It's a great band. So legitimately, for anyone who doesn't know, Ron's obviously he is a widely talented musician. He sang at the farm show on more than one occasion. You're going to want to go see him do his thing. What are you just as? Do you get more excited for one or the other? Or this is a dream come true. You're doing both, right, man?
Yeah, and I put my 2 favorite things, truck and tractor pulling and playing country music together. Yeah, it's a win-win, buddy.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So no, I got to stay humble here, but I'm speaking for my bandmates. Sometimes. Yeah,
right. Well, then I'll speak for Ron. I have attended his. Should I call them? Do they sound better if I call them early morning instead of calling them very late night? Instead of saying I've attended your late night practice sessions, maybe it sounds better if I say I've attended your early morning, because
those are the
technically they were pretty early morning.
No, but it'd be a good time. It'd be a great time there. So a couple more comments here. Robert Miner. Well, I'm not sure about 4-1s. They're
going to be great.
Oh, he's talking about super farms and 4-1s. I'm not sure of any new 4-1s. I did hear that I think we might see the Shacklefords out a little more this summer. I think Bo Eilenstein, which his tractor was a pro stock last time we saw it on the track,
Right.
It's coming back as a 4-1, the Coming Undone tractor.
Okay.
Colby Lane, I was told we'll see more of him this summer.
What about here's a name that I thought of. They're pulling at the Pullers Championship. Paddocks, would love to see them back out a lot. I'm not sure what they have in the plans. I was reading his bio for the 4-1. He said, we haven't ran points in a while, but I know they've expressed a lot of like, hey, we just get busy. Life is what it is. But that's a name I'd love to see back in that class quite a bit.
Let's see. No, not going to make it to DeLeon. I'll be in Washington, Missouri. That is a busy weekend.
Yeah.
Right there.
One of the only times where we actually have 3 locations going on at the same time between Washington, DeLeon, and West Point are all on the same night, I think.
Yeah, if you're a pulling fan, you're torn that weekend because there's so much going on. NTPA's in Rockwell, Iowa. We've got DeLeon 7th and 8th, Washington, Missouri the 7th and 8th.
I love it. I don't know if you're like me, Ron, but I get home from those weekends, and the first thing I do on like a Sunday night or a Monday morning is I go over to our good buddies at Full Pull Live, and I'm like, obviously I wasn't in Washington, I was in West Point, but you go back over there and you see what you missed at West Point, or you see what you missed at Rockwell. So you can get them. There's a way to get all of them. It's right there on my ball cap, but I always kind of like doing that. You get home from a road trip and you flip over and see what was the other half of the crew up to this weekend.
Yeah, you'll be in Weeping Water, West Point, and Mobile that particular weekend. So
Mobile shifted their date, so that'll be fun. Mobile was a heck of a pull last year. Looking forward to going back this year.
Any new light mods for 26? Well, one, it's new for the class. Yes, it used to be a 74 mod, and that's Wayne Longnecker's River Rat. It's going to be a single engine Hemi running in that light mod class this year. So, and
of course, we're talking the light limited mods. This is another one of those where the monikers and the names, because what's happened is the Outlaw 7400 mod class has gotten so popular that the rest of the world has started looking at it, but it looks to them what they tend to call the quote unquote light mod, which maybe used to be the light unlimited. So, we kind of call our light mods the light limited mods, and then what looks like a light mod to everyone else is our 7400. They're starting to call them outlaw mods. I've even heard some people say that might be what they just named that class across the nation. That's just called the outlaw mod class.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with that.
I think you take modified and out. That just sounds great. The outlaw mods. Let's do it.
Let's go back to the comments here. Case Conover. I think he's. Let's see. Harrison Lane, does a rebuilt 4-1 count as a new? Well, it kind of will be a new one, Harrison. I mean, a lot of sheet metal, a lot of engine. We'd call
I'm going to read between the lines here. I like what I just heard, and I'm going to read between the lines because the question posed was, will we see any new 4-1s in 2026? And the last we'd heard from this family was, we don't know when Moving On will be back, but it'll be back, which kind of led me to believe it might be a while, might take them some time. Yeah. So Harrison here, he's kind of saying, I don't know, that kind of sounds to me, Ron, like things are progressing smoothly. I don't know, Harrison, if that's what you're saying, but that is how I'm going to choose to interpret it until told otherwise.
Yeah, that's it'd be great to see that one back.
Would love to see Moving On back out on the track.
Now, I've heard rumors of possibly by August, maybe they would be out. Yeah. So,
good.
Hopefully they're not waiting on any crucial parts that like some pullers are still waiting on parts that they didn't receive back when they were supposed to in December or January. I hope that's not the case.
Give us updates. That's another one of the idle boys. My boys have latched on to vehicles that they're just huge fans of, and that's one that they've latched on to. And they ask me about that tractor all the time. So they always say, when's Moving On coming back? So keep us posted, Harrison. We'd love to see it back soon.
Andrew Sprock would like to see the two.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too, but we're in DeLeon that weekend. We'll see how the little series in Illinois, the 4 hooks in Illinois and the one in Montgomery City, Missouri go this summer. I have high expectations. I feel really good about that series. If that is a big success, then and we have the numbers of 2-wheel drive, we might be able to split them up. But we did that a couple of years ago, and I kind of got in trouble with some pullers. They didn't want to see that class get split up for DeLeon down there. So yeah, we're going to keep it in DeLeon for now, that 2-wheel drive class, and hoping those two pulls eventually won't be on the same weekend.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, we just need more. We need more weekends, Ron. We need about twice as much summer.
Yeah.
That's really what we need here, because we are. I mean, everyone. Jason Schultz made the comment one time. He said everybody wants to be an outlaw until they run that outlaw schedule, and I've even said that should be considered at places like the National Farm Machinery Show or other places when they're looking at a resume, and they might say, well, this person was a points champion in this group, right? And that's great. Maybe they hooked 8 times, and they say, well, yeah, but they got 4th in the Outlaws. Yeah, but they hooked 28 times to do that, and they ran against 32 competitors, and they still. So it is an absolute gamut, but it's a pulling fan's dream.
Yeah, and we're trying to draw that back, Mike. Those big numbers, trying to get them back to 20 or below. For most classes, some classes, you can't book them a ton of times. Your diesel supers and things like that. They just they're not built to last. But
I've always said promoters. If you're a promoter in September or October looking for diesel supers, that's maybe more of a June and July class.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something we're trying to do, is promote other classes with the Outlaws, because everybody wants to have an outlaw pull. We get calls all the time, and we have to say we can't do it because we just have too many hooks, or it just isn't feasible. We have too many pulls going on a particular weekend. So trying to promote some of these classes within that may not be getting their due, in my opinion, like light limited modifieds, for example.
Yeah.
When we brought them back, I thought these guys need to be put up on a stage. We need to promote this class. We had a handful of hooks the first year back. Now look where we're at with light limited mods. We're up there where we need to pull them back. They're at 23 hooks. So what do you do for somebody that wants a modified tractor class?
Well, it's so hard too, because there's no weak spot in the lineup. When you're talking to a promoter and when you look at a class, well, why are there 23 of them? Because everybody wants them. But you could really say that for almost every single one of our classes, because they just all offer such a good show. And people talk about, they're like, oh, technically the light limited mods are, an entry level class or a stepping stone class. But if you look at the degree of the equipment, just the fit and finish of that equipment, that stuff is showmanship quality. And so every promoter wants it. And it's like you said, what do you do? I mean, everybody wants an outlaw pull.
I would love to promote, and bring the classic mods into the picture, to give promoters another choice there, take some of the stress off the light limited mod, take some of the stress off the big mods. And even the mini rods, once, the whole sled
that's
situation.
Going to be a good answer.
The whole sled situation is what's holding us back in that mini rod class. We need to have an available sled at a lot of these events where we can run those mini rods, those 1,400 horse blown mini rods out there. We're hooking 7 times this year in that mini rod class. I mean, I think that could be 14 or 15 right now if we had available mini rod sleds here. They have to be an NA SOA sled. So you can't just take any mini rod sled out there or garden tractor sled. These are 1,400 horse tractors. So that could take some of the stress off of that light mod class too, to have that class as an option. Interesting thought here from yesterday. I talked to Kevin Moore. He runs a mini rod tractor with the 4BT diesel engine in it. And they've been able to get that tractor in the 4-digit range on the dyno now with that little 4BT diesel engine. So they may be ones to watch this year in that mini rod.
That'd be cool. That'd be way cool.
So Case Conover Nordheim is this weekend. Good luck to everybody going to Nordheim Feast down there. That's a big Texas truck tractor pullers pull down there. Of course, everybody knows by now Texas TTTPA is a member state of the Outlaws this year. So I expected some great things there in Nordheim this weekend. Jason Wayman going back down to run this weekend with his limited pro diesel pickup.
Love it, man. I mean, he's gonna. What will Wayman do if after Columbus and after Nordheim he is sitting number 1 in points with TTTPA? Will he commit and chase points and be a points champ all the way out of northern Missouri?
You know, I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule.
I haven't either, but it's just such an interesting. Could you turn it down if you're sitting already at that? Just that's what I love about pulling, the quirky, unique things that happen when someone decides to go somewhere and try something new, and because it's possible, very possible.
Don't think that Mr. Wayman hasn't thought about it and crunched those schedules together to see if it's possible.
Yeah.
What's classic mod? Well, take your John Deere and put a small block Ford or a small block Chevy or a small block Mopar, single carburetor, cast iron heads, probably about 700 horse or so, 750 probably max, 18.4 tires. That's a classic mod class.
Yeah, they're a TTTPA class as well. We saw them in Columbus. Mm-hmm. They put on a good show. They really do. Ron's got a good idea with them supplementing our modified tractors. It would work well.
Zuck Fukerberg do a light limited mod class north and light limited south.
Thing about them is they're all from like an hour of each other. They all, there's 15 of them, and they're all within like which ones would be north and which ones would be south. They're all over there in eastern Nebraska.
Yeah. He might be speaking about one of the mod classes in Texas, which those rules are different from ours. I think they're pro modified.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
I don't think they're allowed to run Hemis, and their rules are a little bit different. So we'd have to get together on rules with that to make that, if you're talking about that far south.
Yeah, but that's another good class too. And like I talked about on the show last week, Texas does a good job of stair-stepping their mods with your classic mod, then what they would call their pro mod, and then kind of their 7400 mod or whatever you want to call light limited mod. There's kind of some in-betweens in there, but they're neat as well.
Chris Kilbarger checking in a little bit late tonight. Robert Miner says he saw Roger Rui's tractor for sale. Saw that as well. There you go, Robert. I mean, you want to get into it. There's your 4.1. I think they got the rig and toter and all of it.
See, I've seen that for sale almost since the conclusion of last season too. But then I feel like I also see Roger being very involved in the pulling world and sharing pulling stuff too. So I haven't heard it straight from the horse's mouth. I don't know if this is one of those where it's for sale and we're not going to see him out, or if he's going to campaign it until it does sell. I don't know. I need to talk to him, I guess.
I bet we'll see him out. I
feel like it too. That's the impression.
What better way to advertise your tractor than to
he's going to go pulling and come talk to me in the pits. I got something you're going to want to see. Tractor is for sale.
Chris Pierce says TPC, the Pullers Championship, is this weekend also. Heck yeah, good. Congratulations, or not congratulations, but good luck to all the Outlaw Pullers going to the Pullers Championship this weekend. Thanks for reminding us of that, Chris. And T. Silbett saying, so a Econo rod, that's what they're called in Texas. Yeah. But they're not called a Econo rod everywhere else. Sometimes a Econo rod, is a stretched chassis with, a big block Chevy on it. So they're in that vein. They're in that ballpark. Yep. Classic mod, I would actually say, some of the Econo mods would maybe be the step you would take after a classic mod, so it just in that same vein. Semantics here. We're just, mm-hmm. Case Conover has a classic mod. That's awesome. Mikey's building one.
That's what Ron, for anyone who doesn't know. So I've got my ideas for the H, and then Ron calls me every other day and he says, I know what we need to do with your A. So according to Ron, it's becoming a classic mod. I'm not against the idea. I just want to see it be a tractor first. It needs to prove to me that it can, move. And then we'll talk about that.
Small block Chevy would look cool between us frame rails, Mike.
Well, I know where I could rob a small block Ford. There's another project that for other reasons hasn't moved in a while, but the motor's good. So maybe I just take, all the stuff that's sitting out there in the shop and consolidate them.
Oh, there you go.
We got the 67 F-250 sitting out there. So,
there you go.
we could have
351 or 302 or
no. And it might even be, it might be the small big block. I always struggle on this. It's the go up, whatever number's up after that. It's
Is
like
it an FE engine?
No, it's
So,
like the 3. Is there
360, 390?
Yeah,
That's an
maybe
FE.
it is a 360. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it's
that's
a
an FE.
360.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's too big. And
That's what I thought. It's a really little big block, is what it actually is,
You don't want
right?
to spend that kind of money on that engine anyway. It would be
Hey,
expensive.
it runs. That one rip fires right up. So
Not trying to get
no, it's all good.
Rassled here, but yeah.
You keep your Mopar stuff.
I think a 67. It's probably got an FE motor in it. I bet. I'd made a trade. I was working on somebody's car and ended up with I think it was a 69 Ford, and it had an FE. I think it was a 390. And it was a great day to see that one driving away.
I don't know enough about it. I know that it runs really good with the choke out. It likes that. If you push the choke in, it's not as happy. So.
All right. I think we've milked this thing for all it's worth tonight. We're going on 2 hours here. So thanks everyone for watching tonight. Mike, thanks for coming to us live from the pit area there of 1992, Macon, Missouri.
Time traveling, it's where it all started, Ron. It's where it all started.
I hear you. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Bruce Hendel from VP Racing.
Yeah,
for joining us
great
tonight.
interview.
Everybody have a great night. Cross another day off on the calendar. We are 24 days away, Mike.
You're hey, don't you start slipping on numbers, because you're the one I turn to up in the crow's nest and say, hey, how many quarters of an inch is that or whatever. So you keep track of the numbers.
3 weeks. 3 weeks and 3 days. 3 weeks and 3 days.
Bingo.
Till first pull of the season. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7.